friends, my name is Victoria, and I thought I wrote a joke for an intro and I can't find it, so we're starting. So, premise for today is if you've seen 1 minute of a video on this channel, or if you know me at all, you know that when I like something, I am in love with it to the most extreme degree. I can't consume media in a normal way. It needs to take over my life and my entire personality, and sometimes that's something I like about myself, but a lot of times that's something I regret. I think one issue with this is just that I can't prioritize everything I've ever been into, so some of my interests like SNL have maintained for years, and then other things kind of die off relatively quickly with nowhere to go. So I thought today it might be fun to look back on some of my old pop culture obsessions, see who I was at that time, what went wrong, a bit of an eras tour, if you will. Bit of an eras touree, because my name is Victoria. By the end of this, maybe I'll feel like rebranding myself again. I don't know. If this is something that sounds interesting to you, that's cool, because I'm gonna do it. So let's go. I don't know which order I'm gonna go in, but I know I have to open with Greta Van Fleet for recency reasons. Essentially, in August of 2021, I discovered Greta Van Fleet, and they consumed my entire personality for a very long time. I have a video about them on my channel that you don't need to watch, but in the video I said something to the effect of like, oh yeah, my friends make fun of me because I get really into things, but this isn't gonna die. And I wasn't wrong, but I was a little wrong, so I feel like maybe we should talk about what has happened since then. The height of my Greta Van Fleet era was late 2021. I was the most invested in the entire world. I was commenting on anything they ever posted on social media. I had every album like memorized, track list, lyrics, whatever. I knew their family tree and their dating history and what they had for lunch that day, and that's like a joke, but you know, I was really into it. Eventually I calmed down, I guess. I realized what it means to be a normal human being. I don't know. I'm still the most obsessed with their music I've ever been in the world. I wholeheartedly believe they are the greatest band on the planet and they make the best music in the entire world, but now like I couldn't tell you what they wore, you know, to Target today. The main reason I'm bringing this up is because in the Greta Van Fleet video I mentioned how they were going on a second tour. I went to their Strange Horizons tour in October 2021. They were going on the Dreams in Gold tour, and when they announced it, there weren't any dates close to me, so I thought I wasn't going, and then they added an Anaheim date, which I went to like 3 days ago. I was curious to see how I would react, because I was obviously still obsessed with their music, but I was no longer in the like delusional, I'm gonna marry Josh Kiska sort of way that I was at their first concert. And so I was wondering how I would react. Would I act like a normal, like casual fan? So I compiled a video of some of my reactions from that night. I edited it on TikTok because I thought I was gonna post it, and the more I watch it, the more I realize that's not seeing the light of day. But you guys can watch it and determine for yourself how I feel about the band now.
This is called Light My Love. It's a good sense.
So yeah, not embarrassing at all. So the consensus is I'm still very much obsessed with Greta Van Fleet. I still believe their music has entirely changed my life. Anything I said to that effect in my last video rings true. But I'm like also normal in the sense that I don't need to know what they're doing every minute, and like I don't have a ton of pictures of them on my phone that I look at in the middle of the day. Why am I still talking? Basically, I love Greta Van Fleet, but I'm no longer in the era where like I can't talk about anything else. I guess I'm just like, I guess I'm normal now, you know? So that's era 1. Yay. Era 2, I guess we'll move on to Riverdale. This isn't chronological. This happened like 2017, 2018. Not at all proud of it. I don't entirely remember it, and I think I did that on purpose because, like, wow, was this poor. I'm gonna give you a backstory because I think what got me into Riverdale is a little more wholesome and might help you be a little more forgiving. I got into Riverdale because for as long as I've lived, the Archie comics have been a very big part of my life. It's like kind of cute. I think my parents were really into it when they were growing up. Low-key, I don't know when they first started, but when I was a kid, my dad would come home from work with like a copy of the Betty and Veronica comics, and then like I would read it, and then my mom would have a turn, and it was like super adorable. I still love those stories, and I think it was such like a fun franchise. So obviously when Riverdale came out, I had to give it a look-see. I knew it wasn't going to be that similar to the comics, but I was just really excited because, again, it was something that had been a big part of my life and my family. And when I first started watching it, it was really good. My understanding was that the first season was low-key good, and then the second season was like, ooh, and then the third season I was like, what's going on? And then I just stopped watching. Essentially, when I was really, really into Riverdale, I was really, really into Riverdale. I wanted like the little like serpent whatever tattoo. Like, what was I on? I was trying to look back on this time because I think I made a point to not document too much of it or like delete what was there, but I did some digging and I ended up finding one of the worst things you could possibly find. Instagram has a feature where you can see like every comment you've ever left. And the very first comment I ever left on anything when I first got my Instagram account 5-something years ago was yes, hard eyes, on a post from the Riverdale account that said, Bughead is back tomorrow at 9/8 Central on the CW. And then the more I went through it, the worse it got. I was like replying to Bughead edits like, I'm screaming. And then I once commented Daddy on one of Lily Reinhart's posts, which I think was from when I got hacked that one time. Because why would I do that? I hate knowing that this happened. I hate that other people were able to perceive me when this happened. I mean, again, I know I said season 1 wasn't that bad, but it's just like now you grow up and like to even be associated with the word Riverdale is so crazy. But let's move on to a subset of that Riverdale obsession, which was Cole Sprouse. I didn't get into the show for Cole Sprouse as we just discussed, but I did eventually become very hooked. Why? Don't ask me. I mean, I know why, but like, don't ask me. Cole was the it boy at the time, and Jughead was different, and I was into it, whatever. I had the hat, I thought we were getting married, all the things. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because I recently unfollowed Cole on everything, and I think it's kind of funny just because usually when I unfollow someone, it's because they like did something like bad, and in this case, he just went on a podcast, and I thought he was so annoying, like so annoying, which is funny because like I'm pretty annoying. But one, he just sounded like insanely pretentious. I watched a really good YouTube video about someone else talking about it, and I don't just want to repeat everything he said, so it's here or something. But aside from the fact that he came across as just like really thinking he's better than everyone, he said some not great things about Lily Reinhart, and I am still in love with her after all these years. I don't care how bad Riverdale was. Whatever Lily Reinhart wants, she can have, and any tongue that rises against her shall fall. And I didn't like the things Cole was saying. For context, they used to date, and now they don't date, and like, we don't need to get into it, but I'm not happy with Cole anymore, and I think his show is bad. So, that's all. We can wrap this up. Essentially, I stopped watching Riverdale because as the seasons went on, they got worse. I guess that's a little different from like some of my other eras where it's like I'm hyper fixated and then it just like dissipates. This was a case where like I was into it and then like I noticed it was getting bad and then I stopped. But it's so great to not be that person anymore. I still like the cast for the most part, and I wish them well. I wish them not that show, you know? So, cool. We move on to Criminal Minds, which was a fun one for me, one I don't regret all that much, but I don't think we can get started until I bring in our special guest. So, one second. These are Spencer Reid's legs. This is my life-size cardboard cutout of Spencer Reid from Criminal Minds. I recognize the smart thing to do in this situation is just like move my camera back and let you see him fully stood. I don't want to. So all you really need to know is that he's here. He's joining us for the conversation. Spencer Reid and I have been living together since my Criminal Minds era, which was, I want to say late 2020, maybe early 2021. Essentially what happened was Criminal Minds blew up on TikTok quite a bit, and I thought that guy was unbelievable. So I watched it really just for him. I didn't realize it would be as murderous and frightening as it was, and for a little bit it was, I think, like messing with me mentally, but now I'm at a point where like I watch that, no reaction. Love me just some pow pow pow. But Criminal Minds took over my life. Admittedly, I was in quarantine during this period. I feel like it was inevitable that something needed to fill a hole somewhere. As I said, I don't have that much regret for this period. I think I got made fun of a bit for it, mainly because of the cardboard cutout thing. I don't see the big deal, you know? I'm an only child, so he was my first roommate. He's like a brother to me, who I used to read fan fiction about, so not in that way. But I still really like the show. I'm not in that obsessive era anymore. I think what happened was just, you know, quarantine died down. I found other things to do and other things to watch. I'm not sure I ever finished the show. It's a long show. I was doing like a couple episodes a day, and like it was taking a toll on me, but maybe I did finish it. I don't know. I don't regret it that much. I still really like it. I like it when it's on. Maybe sometimes I wish I didn't own this, and you know, but like, I think it's kind of funny. Yeah, Criminal Minds era, ultimately a slay. I don't really care. We move on. This next category is like a speed round, and then we'll get into what my current eras are. But I'm calling this little category movies I once watched every day for at least 2 weeks straight, because this is something that isn't relatively common for me. Usually even when I really, really like a movie, the max is like 3 days in a row. But there's a small list of movies that I was once like steamrolling. Is that the word even? So first on that list is Avengers Endgame. When it was in theaters, I saw it, I think 4 or 5 times in theaters, but then when the DVD came out, obviously that was life-changing. Like, I had it on hand. And I have a core memory of making a ton of my friends laugh that summer that the DVD came out, because I said something to the effect of like, oh yeah, this DVD is the only thing keeping me alive. And like, they laughed, but I don't think I was joking. Like, I don't know why I was so attached to this film. So it was a pretty wild time. I think what happened was just like, since that DVD came out that summer, eventually school started again, and I just like, I lost time for it. But like, I know why I was into it. I haven't seen it in a while, but I still think it's an amazing film. But it is nice to like not be in that level of nerd anymore, because that was a pretty crazy time. Next on the list is High School Musical 2, which like is not surprising if you know me at all. That was the winter of that year, so Endgame was the summer, and then winter break came around, and I became obsessed with High School Musical 2. I immediately like resonated with Ryan Evans out of nowhere. Like, after years of loving the High School Musical franchise, I became hooked on this film and Ryan's part in this film, and I don't regret this era at all, because to this day I think that was one of my smartest moments. The argument I developed essentially is that High School Musical 2 is better when you watch it as if Ryan Evans is the main character, because he has had the most character development and he's like the most interesting of the bunch. If you like piece things together in your head. We don't need to get into it, but like, I think I'm a genius, essentially. Basically, like, as, you know, an aspiring entertainment journalist, I'm not great with opinions. A lot of my takes are like kind of recycled. This is one of the first like unique thoughts I had that I still wholeheartedly believe in, and I think it shows that like I'm kind of media literate, like I'm kind of smart, like I kind of know what I'm doing. So no regret for the High School Musical 2 era. All that happened was like, again, school picked up, I kind of fell out of it, but it's still my favorite movie of all time. Okay, done. Last on the list, we're almost done, is Promising Young Woman. I don't remember when my Promising Young Woman era was. Essentially, I only watched it because like Bo Burnham was in it, you know, and that is part of the thing that makes it so crazy. I could not get into this movie, especially if you haven't seen it. I really don't want to spoil it, but basically Emerald Fennell, who wrote and directed it, is a genius. She casted it so deliberately. If you haven't seen this movie, you have to see this movie. I don't fully know what happened. I think it was just another case where like life got in the way and I no longer had time to be watching this movie every day of every week. But I rewatched it recently, like a couple weeks ago, and I did a Letterboxd review on it. But like essentially, it's the type of movie that grows up with you, because when I rewatched it, I hadn't seen it in a while, like since that like obsessive era, and it still resonates, and it kind of hits harder as you get older, at least as a girl. You know, like I have some new stuff going on, and like I'm watching this and I'm just like fully connecting, always taking new things away from it. So yeah, love My Promising Young Woman era, and low-key might be back in it because it's just a mind-blowing movie that I definitely recommend if you haven't seen it. That's that. I figured we can wrap up with what my current eras are, and also talk about like what even is the definition of a Tory era now. So I would describe my two eras currently as Taylor Swift and Succession. Taylor Swift has been a whirlwind. You know, grew up with her, was always a fan, and then Folklore and Evermore happened and I started getting more invested, and then I just like really started keeping up. And then summer of 2022, I was like really connecting with Evermore. Like I was going through it, and like Evermore became like my album, and then I became like a full Swiftie. But now I feel like I'm an even bigger Swiftie because now I'm like obsessed with Reputation and Lover, and like I'm going back to all the old stuff. And now obviously she's on the Eras tour, which I think I'm going to. And so I'm just like fully obsessed with Taylor Swift right now. It's really fun to just like really be a full swing Swiftie, but it also brings up the topic, like I think an era for me now is a little less obsessive. Like I'm a big fan, but I'm like maybe normal. I say that like I didn't start crying the first night of Eras tour because I wasn't there. Anyways, my next era is Succession currently. If you don't know or you don't keep up, Succession is my favorite show in the world, and they sprung it on us out of nowhere that this current season, their 4th season, is gonna be their last. It's hard for me. I took it hard when I found out. Like this show is my everything. But I'm trying to be normal about it. Like, I would rather it stay good than like keep going and be bad. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself. I think I'm kind of lying. I don't know. I'm gonna miss this show, but it's amazing. Sarah Snook in love. Kieran Culkin in love. Just a phenomenal show, phenomenal cast. Don't know what I'm gonna do without it. But happy to be back in my Succession era. I think that concludes everything. Or I'm gonna tell myself that concludes everything because I got stuff to do. I gotta go. But I had a lot of fun doing this, actually. I've been realizing as I do these more, I'm getting more comfortable on camera, and I do kind of miss making this stuff. So even if it wasn't fun for you to watch, I had a good time doing it. It's my spring break, so I also just kind of wanted to say I did something semi-productive. So thanks for that. I don't have much to add. Maybe I'll be back soon. I said I would do the vinyl video and I haven't, but let's not act like you care. You know how I know you don't care? Let's talk about this. I got to 50 subscribers and then 2 people unsubscribed and then 1 person subscribed, but I'm still not at 50. I'm at 49. So not like it's about the numbers, but what the hell, guys. But no, thank you so much. I had a blast. I hope you had a blast. Nothing else to say. I love you. Bye. I'll be seeing you. Ending the video trying to decide which ironic shirt I should buy. I can get the one that says Tom and Shiv forever, or the one that says Tom and Greg forever. They're getting a divorce, but doesn't matter.